Hello, I'm Andrew Hewson of Huey Games, and you're listening to the Scene World podcast.
Okay. Sup, Scene Worldios? It's us. That's Joerg. I'm me. How's it hanging?
So, today we are talking to Tommy Tallarico and Hans Ippisch from Intellivision.
Yeah, the Intellivision.
Exactly. And we will be talking about their new hot shit called Amico.
Mm-hmm. That's just in a minute. Before that, we've got a couple of pieces of news, not too much.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty slow week. So
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Well, as a gamer, you probably have heard about the MechWarrior series.
Mm-hmm.
And in December last year, actually, MechWarrior 5 was released.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was developed by Piranha Games, and it's an Epic Store exclusive. So if you wanna have it, you need the Epic Game Store. And I have to say, it's really strong on my 8-year-old PC. It just works.
Okay.
But it's already struggling a bit.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe I should try it on mine, which is not a brand new PC either.
It will not work.
You never know.
If it's not meeting the system requirements, no chance.
Okay.
At least. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and of course, trying out the first mission, I failed. Few seconds before the mission was ended.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's great to have a successor to the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, my news over here is that the Mega 65 has been in progress for a while now. They've been running a Kickstarter campaign to get the funding for the molding for the cases and everything to really put it together. And they just got a single donation for £40,000, British pounds.
Wow.
Which put them right over, I believe it put them right over the top. So now they have the funding to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, one single guy donated that. So
all his life savings.
Yeah, pretty much, or just someone that's got the cash to spend on it, which is great. If I had $40,000 extra running around, you're damn straight. I'd give it to Mega 65 because it's an awesome project. So that's cool. It doesn't look like it's a Kickstarter campaign in as much as it's just a call for donations. And currently they are at actually 69,000 out of 66. So they are £3,000 over what they were trying to collect.
Wow.
So they are there. I mean, I'm looking at it on my phone, and it's like they're there.
Nice. Great.
They've got the donations they need, so it's in.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's another good sign. That's all I got.
Well, me too. Anyway, other news is you were suggested the Scene World podcast as a guest station, right?
Yes. Yeah. I stopped to get gas, and somebody noticed that the back of my car has aside from a sticker of a stink bug, I have a your average ready and then the cursor prompt, and some guy noticed that, and he thought it was great. He knew it was an old computer system, but I don't think he really understood what the Commodore 64 was, because he was like going through all the different game systems he liked, and it was like he was like, yeah, the Commodore 64 and the Nintendo 64, and I'm like, yeah, that's not really the same thing at all. But as he's telling me this, he goes, man, if you're into this stuff, you know, there's a podcast you should really listen to. And he couldn't think of the name, but he pulled his phone out and he's going searching through there, and then he shows me, and it's the Scene World podcast. So.
And you told him you are one of the moderators?
Well, no, I actually just said, oh, it's a Scene World podcast. And it took him a couple of seconds, and then he realized what was going on. And
wow, what did he say?
he thought it was great that we were doing the podcast, and he loved it, and he's a listener. So,
wow.
Hi, random dude in gas station.
Wow, nice. Did you get used to those encounter meanwhile?
No, I don't ever get used to that.
So hopefully you will never become a
Makes me
big
incredibly
YouTuber.
uncomfortable.
Why? Aren't you proud of what you?
Yeah, I am.
achieved?
I am. I just
Shouldn't make you feel weird.
It's one of those things where, again, it's why do you do this stuff? And mostly because you want people to see it. But then at the same time, it's like when people do see it, it's the same thing with actors that never watch the shows that they're in. You know, it physically harms them to see themselves acting. Or musicians that never listen to their music and stuff like that. It's you know, and to know that other people are looking at it or listening to it is kind of, I don't know. It's cool, but at the same time, it makes you vaguely uncomfortable.
I had a problem listening to my own voice for a long time, but since we are doing this podcast thing and I have to listen to my voice all the time, I don't bother anymore.
Yeah, I've gotten better.
It's normal to me now.
I've gotten better at hearing myself as well, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Intellivision is waiting right over there. So we should go and talk to them about what they're doing, because that's a biggins.
So, today we are actually talking to two pioneers in the video game industry, and that would be Hans Ippisch and Tommy Tallarico.
Woo.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us. This is I got to say, this is the very first time that me and Hans have been interviewed together at the same time. So this is an exclusive for you guys, for the world.
So, yeah, the thing is,
awesome.
AJ wanted to interview somebody from Intellivision since the first day it was announced that the new Amico system is coming out, right, AJ?
Yeah, before we even knew it was the Amico, when it was just some Intellivision system that was coming out and we didn't know anything about it.
Exactly.
Well, and so so I realize you don't know much about it, so I gotta say it's pronounced Amico. See, now you just learned one thing. You learned one thing. It's a good thing. This is why we're doing this. But Amico is the Italian word for friend. That's where it comes from. Amico.
Okay. Kind of like the Spanish Amiga.
Amigo. Or Amiga. Oh, is that an Amiga back there?
That's an Amiga 500.
Dude! Do you have the MIDI hooked up?
I do not, no.
No, because that was like the machine to do MIDI music on.
Yeah.
I got the Amiga 2000, by the way, from Rainbow Arts for free.
Oh.
Whoa.
But I never did any game on Amiga, so...
Just the Commodore 64.
It was too complicated. I prefer Amico.
Interestingly, so to continue the story, then when I was planning my interviews for Gamescom, and Hans was actually sending me an email like, I switched companies, you know? And then I figured, it's Intellivision. So...
well, the amazing thing about that, too, if you consider, I met Hans way back in the early 1990s. And Hans has been at Computech, as I'm sure you know, in one regard or another, for about 30 years. Hans was at the same company. And then, of course, he was CEO of Computech for almost 12 years. So to have Hans, who knew one company and one company and stay with the whole company for over 3 decades, his entire career, to have him make the leap and come over to Intellivision to start our European office, I think that says a lot about the excitement that that we're generating within the game industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Jörg, you know that because every year we've been talking about games and retro, and what I was always what I was loving, and so I guess probably for you it was no surprise that I switched to Intellivision, because other people that know me as a media publishing house, they are wondering, but people that really know what I really see myself as part of the games and development. And also in one of your interviews, by the way, a few years ago, I always tell these people that I always only played games where I don't have to read a manual. And that's something I told in an interview with you, Joerg, a few years ago, because that's what I did all my life, and because I wanted to have entertainment and fun and not work. And that's what it's all about here at Amico. So
it's funny, Hans. I see one of our charts, our game charts, up on your wall, and I'm not saying to remove it because I think it's funny, but many people who are watch this are going to zoom in on that and try to figure out what all that. What all that is. I can tell, like in the bottom left corner, I can tell that that's skiing.
Yeah.
The brown one above it's going to be hard for people to probably figure out. The one above it, people can the one above it, that's biplanes. And then it's kind of grainy from there, and so on the left side are the original games, and on the right side are what they look like now. So people are gonna because we haven't released a lot of that info, so people are gonna be freaking out about that. I'm sure.
I was already freaking out when I heard about David Crane, actually.
Yeah. I mean, David Crane wants to. We've been talking about, working on the machine, doing a new version of Pitfall. It's just been difficult because Activision, we don't have an installed base. There's 0 Amicos in the world right now. Right. So Activision and EA, those are two of the big publishers that are kind of taking a wait and see approach. They're actually the only two. I mean, we have so many other amazing big things on board that we're going to be announcing, in the next coming months. But every other single biggest license on the planet is going to be coming to the machine exclusively. The version of the game, the versions that we're making are exclusive for our console, because the way we're making the games, with our controller, with the speaker and the microphone, the gyroscope, and the fact that you have a screen and it's multiplayer, everything's going to be very unique, to our console. So that's really what we mean when we say exclusive. You won't be able to play these games and these versions of these games anywhere else. And people are like, oh, but you can play multi-couch co-op stuff on the Switch. So why don't you just port this stuff to the Switch or whatever? And that's we're not making games that could even go on the Switch, even if we wanted to. Everything's integrating what all of the unique things of our console are, and that's really, kind of the genesis of the entire machine. Or should I call it the Mega Drive of the entire machine?
What I would like to know is, we spoke about Hans, how he started out with computers and games, and being part of Amico and Intellivision as the European CEO. But how did you actually, Tommy, start out in the video game industry? And how did you get to be the CEO of Intellivision and restarting the brand? That would be interesting.
Yeah, so a quick story of how I got in the industry. I mean, my two greatest loves growing up were always music and video games. In fact, my fondest memories as a kid are playing my Intellivision with my parents and my siblings, brother and sister, and my friends, and those are my fondest, some of my fondest childhood memories. And but the way I got in the industry is when I turned 21. I grew up in the eastern part of the United States called Massachusetts. And when I turned 21, I left my parents crying on a doorstep. I got in my car all by myself, a little 2-seater, and I had 3 T-shirts and a pair of jeans and my Roland keyboard and little 4-track recorder, and I just started driving to California. Because, and I'd been planning this for 2 years, saving up money to pay off all my debt, so that when I went there, I didn't have any bills I had to worry about. And so that's what I did. And it took me 3 weeks to get there, because I stopped I never drove more than 5 hours. I really just saw all of America. But I left my house. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any job. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have friends out there. I just had a dream. And I drove to California. And the first day I got out there, I picked up a newspaper and got a job selling keyboards at a guitar center. And I was actually homeless. I was homeless for the first 3 weeks I was in California. I was sleeping under a pier at Huntington Beach in Orange County. And I would cry myself to sleep every night, and I was scared, and I was cold, and I was hungry, and all that stuff. And but anyway, but that first day I picked up a newspaper. I saw a job at a keyboard place. I went there that day. They gave me the job. They said, you start tomorrow. Well, one of those 3 T-shirts I had was a TurboGrafx 16 T-shirt. And this is a system that hadn't even come out in America yet. But I was so into video games that my mom drove me to this local fair that was 8 hours from our house in Massachusetts, because I read in a video game magazine that they were gonna have a TurboGrafx. You would be able to play this new machine from Japan that hadn't come out in America. So I made my mom drive me all the way up, and I played the game, and they gave me this T-shirt to give them feedback about what I thought about the game. So this is how I got this T-shirt that nobody really ever had. So my first day of work, my second day in California, I wear this T-shirt. And the very first person who walked in that day, literally the second person I ever met in California, happened to be a producer who worked for Richard Branson, and they were starting a Virgin video game company right down the street. Wow. And he saw this TurboGrafx shirt, and he said, oh my God, where did you get that? You know about TurboGrafx? It's not even out now. Because remember, back then, no one had video game T-shirts, right? This is back when, now they're everywhere you look. You can order them online. They're in every store. Back then, they didn't exist. Did not exist unless you worked for the company or something, right? So wow. Blown away that I had this T-shirt, and they're like, where'd you get it? And I proceeded to download 21 years of my video game knowledge on this poor guy. And he says, well, this is great. We're just starting the company, and we're going to be looking for games testers. Do you want a job? And I said, oh my God, yes. So I was in and so he said, okay, you start tomorrow. So I was in California 3 days. And I was the very first video game tester Virgin had hired. But here I was in the, in the video game industry. And within a year, David Perry had come over, and Mike Dietz had joined the company. And we basically had put together the team that did Global Gladiators on the Genesis, then Cool Spot, and then Disney's Aladdin. And then we all left Virgin and did Earthworm Jim 1, Earthworm Jim 2, just a whole string of hits back to back to back to back to back. So that was pretty amazing. The way I got Intellivision, and I don't want to hog this whole interview, so I'll try to talk. They're intricate stories here, and I want to make sure Hans gets a breath in. But the way it became Intellivision is that I was very good friends with all the people who owned Intellivision, and most of which were original employees of the company. They actually started at Intellivision in 1980, 1981. And because I was such a huge Intellivision fan, I knew these people for the last 15 years, 20 years. and they were just doing like small licensing deals. They would do out little plug and plays, or they do T-shirts. If you ever watch The Big Bang Theory, for example, Sheldon Cooper wears an Astro Smash T-shirt on the show and stuff. So I was friends with those guys, and the president, Keith Robinson, suddenly passed away about 2.5 years ago of a heart attack. And so, I was literally like at his funeral, and all the rest of the folks were there, and I approached him and I said, look, what do you guys, what's going to happen now with Intellivision? And they were kind of like, I don't know. We don't really know. And I said, well, look, I have a dream. I have a vision. Come over my house. Let me pitch you my whole concept, because I saw this huge gaping hole in the video game industry, which is that people weren't playing in the same room together. Games were getting too complicated, too violent, so much loot boxes, or on mobile, people trying to like take your money or advertise all the time. And there were so many things that I hated, and I couldn't even play video games with my parents anymore, and so this was my frustration that kind of sparked this whole idea. And I said, geez, if this was ever going to happen, Intellivision would be the company that I would want to do it with. And so they all came over my house, the other owners, and who are still with the company today. Again, they started working there in 1981, and they absolutely loved the concept. So I took ownership of 50% of the company and became CEO. And that was about, like I said, 2.5 years ago, and we've been working on this new machine ever since.
Incredible
story, but maybe an interesting one to some folks.
Yeah. Of course. So how did it happen for you, Hans? You were just approached if you want to leave CompuTech?
No, and I never imagined that I would leave CompuTech. CompuTech is part of my life, but it was like that. I remember when in the early last year, 2018, Tommy sent me an SMS, which I was like, does anyone know Intellivision over there in Europe? Well, because every time Tommy wants to know something about Europe, then he's texting me. And so it was like, my first reaction was like, oh my God, Intellivision, nobody knows it except old people like us. But do not. That's because actually I'm not a retro fan. Because if I'm retro, I'm playing Commodore 64 original one. But it was not that simple. So basically I said, yes, people may know it, but it's not something that you might sell millions of units. But shortly afterwards, I think it was in April or May, I was sitting at the same place here, and we've got this call, and then Tommy explained me all of his ideas. And it was like, now I get it. And especially the day afterwards, it was like, oh my God, he's absolutely right. That's the story that he's been telling since then. So, and then we have been in touch and all the time and talking about, and then of course it was more and more intense. And then, but actually, when that's the story I tell everyone, and you can read it. When I was really, and I always thought, well, I need to be part of it, probably at CompuTech. However, I'm not thinking that way. It was like, well, things will happen. But actually, what was really the main thing, why I'm sitting here right now with that shirt, I was in Warsaw, and I got an email from Tommy on the 18th of January, and because I was asking him what kind of licenses would be IPs would be available for the developers here in Germany. And on that list, there was Moon Patrol. And that was it. And I spent all my pocket money with Moon Patrol, and then also I found some developers, and suddenly I was in the middle of getting some developers, putting them in contact with Tommy, talking about the game, how it could look like, and suddenly it was like, oh my God, that's so amazing, and then what is going on, and then also my wife Anna, she told me she hasn't seen me that so happy, and then there was motivation for many years, and that's how it happened, and actually then it was clear. Intellivision there is something special going on. I need to be part of this. I want to work on that game and to work with Tommy and Nick and David and all. It's just something. Well, that's how it worked. It was always. I would be part of it, and I would. Well, probably probably last summer 2018, I've sent you already an Excel sheet how we could do some things being at Computech, what we could do at Computech, but that was not part of games development. And to work for Intellivision and taking part really of games development. I don't like the German subsidiaries of many companies. They don't do any development. They don't have to decide anything. They only here for shipping the units. That's something, well, it's not really, well, it could be worse, but actually to be part of that team now, work with Tommy and all that all day and work with on games like that, that's just, well, I've learned all my life to do that, what I'm doing now.
Now the question is, Hans, will you actually go back to programming and developing games again? Danger Freak for the Amico system, maybe?
I think it's better for me to take care of that. Let young dudes that are ambitious do that stuff, and I think let's give the input from us. And no, I think that's not our part. I think to know how to manage something, get funding money and all that stuff, I think that's more important. And to give input on a regular basis, because basically every week we have Skype calls with all the developers. That's really amazing. To be actually coding, no, I don't think so. No, but you never know, maybe.
So Tommy, let's talk a bit. Because you mentioned that you can't play with your parents anymore, but isn't this family playing thing the concept that Nintendo did with the Nintendo Wii in 2006?
Exactly. They sure did.
And then they stopped it.
Well, that was 14 years ago, right? And the Nintendo Wii was third or fourth biggest selling console ever of all time, 102 million units. It generated over $50 billion in revenue. And that was, that's an example of when, the reality was back then, Nintendo was getting its butt kicked by PlayStation and Xbox. Right. In regards to graphics and games and, licenses and games that people, more wanted to play at that point. And so they had to do something radically different. Right. They were really falling behind. And, I know this because I worked on one of the, launch titles, Metroid Prime. I worked on that game for 5 years. As the machine was getting developed. I worked with Shigeru Miyamoto, the greatest producer, game designer the world has ever seen. And so, their mentality was, Nintendo's a great company. They're a $40 billion company for a reason. They understand their target audience more than anyone else. They really do. Better than Sony, better than Microsoft, They understand their core demographic. And those are typically millennials who grew up on Pokemon and Mario and Zelda. And so when the Wii came out, you'll notice that it came out with Wii Sports, right? And that was really nothing more than a tech demo. We all know, it was a tech demo, right? It had 4 separate games on it. No one really played the baseball 3 innings and the fighting game, but everyone went bowling and a few people played tennis, right? But something interesting about that is that game, that one motion of just that simple motion of, I can bowl by throwing my arm like that. Nursing homes were buying the system. My mom bought a system. All these people who never bought a video game console before started buying this console just to play bowling, just to do that motion because it was simple. It was pretty affordable. I mean, at the time, it was $249 for the Wii, which is about the equivalent of $319 in today's money in the U.S. But the thing is that as soon as that came out, Nintendo went right back to their wheelhouse, right? Their wheelhouse of let's provide super high quality first party games to our fan base. That's what we make games for. So Metroid Prime, Pikmin, Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, all those types of games, kind of, appeared. And to feed their base, the audience that they know better than anyone. But what Nintendo, they don't really make games for non-gamers or casual gamers. That's why it took them so long to get into the mobile market, which they're still, kind of just dipping their toes into still. And make no mistake, the people of Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Europe were screaming at Nintendo of Japan, going, please, let's make a shuffleboard game. Let's make a footballing game. Let's make card games. Because remember, this was before mobile, right? This is before casual and mobile. This was 14 years ago.
Right.
So they were saying, let's do all these simple, crazy games. And of course, Nintendo's like, look, that's not what we do. We make Pikmin and Super Smash Brothers, not solitaire and shuffleboard, right?
Right.
The reality is that all of the third-party titles and third-party publishing was kind of crappy because the Ubisoft, the EAs, the Activisions, all the THQs, all their AAA best teams, what were they doing? They were making games for the PlayStation, and they were making games for the Xbox, and they were making games for the PC. No one thought the Wii would be big. Now all of a sudden the thing blows up, and these companies are like, yeah, let's put our C team on it, or I guess we got to make something for it, so let's do this, or let's try to convert our super epic game that we've done on the PlayStation. Let's try to do a dumb, a simplified, graphically insuperior, slower frame rate version for the Wii. I mean, it was awful, right? And so the reality is that over 1/3 of the people who purchased a Nintendo Wii never bought a game for it. I'm sure you guys know a bunch of people right? My mom was one of them. Those nursing homes were one of them. They just wanted to do this. That was good enough, and that was enough fun. So what we're doing, now it's been 14 years. They never followed it up. The Wii U was the exact opposite of the Wii.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I work in the social services field, and there are still nursing homes where they'll have entire days dedicated to just Wii bowling.
Absolutely. And it's and to your point as well, as a goof, Ubisoft this year put out Just Dance, and they put it out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and they put it on the Switch and all that. But they said, let's put it out on the Wii. It was like the first Wii game in whatever, 10 years or whatever the hell it was, 6 years, whatever, right? 5 years. And here's the funny part. The Just Dance Wii version outsold all the other versions combined. So again, what did this tell you? This is insanity. It's so obvious. It's so easy. Then once mobile came in, about 10 years ago, once that blew up, all the casual and non-gamer games, hyper casual, all of those moved over to mobile. And all of the edutainment titles also moved over to mobile. So all these companies like THQ that used to do all the Nickelodeon licenses, they're gone. EA Kids, remember them? Gone. Take-Two had a kids division. Ubisoft had a kids. All these kid divisions, all went away. And so everything that is casual and edutainment is only available on mobile.
Right.
Is only available on mobile. But what's the problem with mobile? Mobile is solitary, right? It's this. And so, and it's always trying to grab money from you. And this kind of sucks as a controller. Like if you try to play Pac-Man with this.
Oh, God. Yeah.
See, there's no curation. There's zero curation on this, right? And so if you think about it, every single hyper casual, edutainment for kids, non-gamer game, every single one of them now is solitary. There's not a single game that a casual player, a true casual player, can play with people. This is insane. Now, somebody, folks will say, well, there's couch co-op stuff on the Switch. I got news for you. My mom bought a Wii. My mom did not buy a Switch. Those nursing homes that you talk about, social services job, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't buy Switches, right? The Switch is a whole completely more of a hardcore gamer type of deal. They were taking all of the money they were now losing because the 3DS was out and mobile was starting to take over. So they had to figure out a machine. And this is a great machine. The Switch is a great machine, right? But it's not anything like what we're doing or the audience that we're going toward. And to wrap this up, there are 200 million hardcore gamers in the world. Those are all the people that play Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC gaming. There's 200 million people who are hardcore gamers. Yet, there's 3 billion people in the world that play this.
Yeah.
Mobile games take up 55% of our entire gross revenue in the industry. That's double what home consoles do and almost triple what PC gaming does. So when we think of our industry, we always focus on home consoles or PC gaming. But combine those together and you still don't equal what this does and the amount of people that are playing. And that's the sell of Intellivision Amico, is that we're appealing to those 3 billion people, but we can now bring them together in the same room. We can bring, that's our tagline. Our whole motto is Intellivision, together again, right? And that's the big differentiating factor. We focus on couch co-op. Yes, every game has a multiplayer, but our 4 pillars of our company are simple, affordable, family, and entertainment. Those 4-letter words spell out safe. Because
here's a question for you.
None of the games on our system have violence, bad language, sexual content, nothing, not even mildly. It's not allowed on our system. So it's a completely brand new approach to the video game industry in so many different ways. Hopefully a breath of fresh air for many people. And we're staying in our lane, and that's what we're doing.
Here's a question for you, because you mentioned it like 3 times. I'm sure Hans can agree. When I was little and I played games in the 80s and 90s, I learned it's called split screen. And now it's called couch co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the split screen though, see, I'm trying to stay away from all split screen stuff on our machine. So split screen, yes. Split screen can be a part of couch co-op. Take a game, for example, like GoldenEye on the N64, right? Or Mario Kart. That's split screen couch co-op.
Right.
But the games on Amico are actually not split screen couch co-op. They're single screen couch co-op. Different.
Okay, what's the difference?
We might have one game, a split screen, but basically, and to be honest, the most fun I had with games like summer games or winter games or something like that, or Bomberman on the Super Nintendo. That's really that you have one huge screen.
Yeah, Bomberman's a perfect example. Yeah, Bomberman is not a split screen, but it is.
Absolutely, yeah. So a split screen was great for Pit Stop 2, for example, but actually, and that's really the most important thing is because I had the same question in Hamburg when somebody asked me why there is Nintendo, but actually name us a game where you could ask your grandma and your little girl to play together.
Yeah, they're not playing Smash Brothers. Your grandmother, which is a couch co-op, single screen couch co-op, and it's even difficult to play Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And by the way, what about the cost? It's funny when whenever you see Nintendo ads with a whole bunch of people in a room together, everybody has a Switch. You count it up and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times $300. wow, that's $1,500. So, like, we're doing all of this up to 8 players, all at the same time for a very, very affordable price of around $200.
That's actually that's really good. Actually, $200.
Yeah, get 2 controllers. That's the first. It's the first video game system in over 25 years that's come with 2 individual controllers. Think about that. Think about it. Right?
That's true. That's true.
Right.
When the
have a Switch, you can divide them up. Yeah, but they're 2 different controllers. You can't. You ever try to play Mario Kart, by the way, on those little?
Oh Lord.
I mean, it's not. You really extra control for that.
So we are talking a lot about a game that is yet to be released. So recently you published some mobile apps to keep the audience entertained.
We need the logo.
Yeah, actually, it won't work on that logo. That's our old logo. I know. That's an old.
That's fine.
We released an app. It's called Amico Club, and this was just to have kind of fun. It was a little, kind of marketing thing, but we're going to be adding to it every month. So come probably by February 1st, we're going to probably try to get an entire level of Moon Patrol, in the game, and we'll have a bunch of different game examples. And it was just kind of a fun thing where when you download the app, and if you point it was like a AR, augmented reality, in that when you point your phone at an Intellivision Amico logo, the logo comes to life. So if you're wearing a T-shirt, or if it's on a mug, or if it's on your wall, your whole wall comes to life, or your T-shirt comes to life, and it plays the logo, and then it goes into a short, quick demo of Moon Patrol. It's just something that we want to do, for fun, and that we're going to be building more and more, and have a bunch more demos on that.
So, do you have any feedback from I don't know developers from you said AAA publishers, or are you not? I guess you are not targeting them, right?
Frank, we don't really need AAA publishers. What are we going to do? Put Madden Football or Call of Duty on our system? Like, who cares? Like, that's not really what we're about, But I'd love Hans to talk about the developer relationship, and because he's there on the ground working with a lot of our great German developers. I'd love him to talk about what it's been like for them, the kind of feedback that they get from me and from the team. So why don't you maybe dive into that a little bit, Hans?
I think, first of all, I've been approached by 2 or 3 big publishers also. But the first thing I always wanted to know is, how many units are you going to sell? And it's like, actually, we don't talk about the numbers right now. And actually, they had already some games in mind, and I always said, listen, I send you the 10 commandments for Amico developers, because none of your games does fit in here, because that's really important that what kind of games we want to have, and also. But the funny thing is, what happened here in Europe over the past since E3 basically, that we've been approached by many developers, and then the funny thing is, all of them, they really we had always a call with Tommy, because we wanted to make sure that they really understand what we are thinking about, and we want to make sure that they fit into our company, because we are a big family, and if somebody doesn't understand what we are doing, then it's really hard to get this out of their heads, because every time we see a new build, we have to tell them, do this and that. But actually what happened is that, for example, just today somebody was doing a submission in Bavaria, and these developers were approaching us in August, because they were asking if we have something else to work for them. And I told them, listen, we've got all our products now in development already, but I think you are really creative. Think about something completely new. And that's what they had there. So they came up with 3 ideas, and then Tommy and then his team has taken a look at it, and then they had a really great idea, and that is what is going to happen now. You know, the old image brands we have, like Moon Patrol and Shark, and that's really great. But the most important part will be that we're gonna have products that you never have expected, because you don't know them, and because once somebody last week I've been approached by a really huge brand in the board game market, one of the really most traditional brands in the world. And they understand what they are able to do with our Amico and individual controllers and screens. And I think that's the best part of Amico is to come in 2021 when you see games that you don't know, because when people really use the concept. And that's really great to see that these developers, they are suddenly feel something like, oh my God, that's something completely new, and they are bored of doing a strategy game here in Germany all again and again, and a simulation. But suddenly they have to think a new way, and if we send them our we have to kind of package with a lot of information about what the machine is able to do, and the controllers, and all the really great guys that we've met all over Europe. They suddenly come up with ideas. It's like, oh my God, and then will be, you know all the stuff in the trailer, which is really amazing. So we saw Shark and all that stuff, and skiing and all that stuff. But the best thing is really that you are going to see games that you didn't expect to come, because it's really new, something new, and you didn't see that even on the Wii. And that's a difference.
Hey Hans, talk a little bit about, because I've heard you tell the story before about how much the developers appreciate kind of feedback and the work that goes back and forth between us.
And everyone is surprised here in Europe, even of the public authorities and the government, because they think, they are working now for Intellivision here in Nuremberg, and they don't know anything about America. But the funny thing is what happens here, and all of them are really surprised, because first thing is, basically, I get in touch with some developers, and then I say, well, which of them seems to be good enough? And then we have the call with Tommy, and that's what is the second step always. Find out, do they understand what we are doing, and once they are working on their games, the most important input comes from Tommy and Mike Dietz and all the guys over there. And it doesn't mean that I'm just. We have a call. They get emails. They are in touch just like you and me every day on a daily basis. So it's not, and they can't imagine that they're really talking to the CEO of the headquarter in California. It's like, oh my God! And I said, well, that's no problem. He's awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, so let's do it at 1 o'clock here. It's fine. And they just can't believe it. They really can't believe it, and that's really amazing to see, because so we left some developers on the way, but the one that remained here, they are really appreciating all the input that comes from America. There are developers that they think they know everything, and they don't want to get any input. And there are good developers. They are really happy to work with guys like Tommy and Mike. And always I use the example of Mike Dietz, because it's really amazing to see what he's delivering. And he's with his eyes, he just takes a look at something, makes a little sketch, sends it over, and it's always like, oh my God, it's that easy. But that's happening all the time, and that's something that people underestimate. They really don't. They don't know. To have the idea for Amico with the target group, the pricing, everything is fine. But the toughest part about all that, and where the most work has been spent, that's really the actual game development. Because there is something Tommy to satisfy Tommy is probably not easy, and because he won't make a compromise, and that's the best part of it. So basically, if you think, oh yeah, everything is fine, just take a look at the games that will come out, because every single pixel, and then Tommy, I don't know how he does it, but you get emails with 40 different topics and every detail, and that's really amazing to see. And then in the end, So we are all a big family, and currently we are finishing the 5-pack in games, and it's really hard work because they need to be finished by February, March, and it's really hard work. But it's so amazing to see what's going on there, and then that's really that's really actually the best part, and that's why I'm really happy to be here because to talk with the developers, to think about the product, to talk with you guys, and then see that something we have. And also when I think when Tommy sent me the message by the beginning of 2018, there were only very few people. And if you take a look around in all over the world, how many people believe in Amico now, or if it's Michael Pachter or all the brilliant journalists out there or everywhere, it's amazing to see that it's spreading the word. It's like, oh my God, there is something special going on, and there are guys like you that immediately understood what Amico is all about, and then that's really great to see that there is something amazing happening, and it's really that's really the. And then also, many people always ask me, you have to be afraid of Nintendo or Sony or whatever. Actually, I say, if Nintendo would come with Shark right now, or imagine PlayStation or next Xbox coming with Shark. The core gamers would say, "Are you crazy?" But actually, we have our own segment, and that's really the most important part. But that's also our big job, I would say, to spread the word with the marketing and get to the target group that nobody is talking to at the moment.
Well, I can relate to that. I have to admit, outside of the video game industry, there are a lot of stereotypes and a lot of things people wonder about. I know when we made plans for Gamescom, and I heard that our graphic guy from Peru would come and make a trip around Europe, and I said, hey, you can spend a week at Gamescom with us, So I thought I would bring Victor to the interview, and you were totally open about it. Like said, yeah, send me an email, I will send you an NDA, let's see what you can develop for us, And for people outside of the industry, it's like, oh, isn't that a problem because somebody is from Peru, and how would the communication work and so on. And I figured this video game industry is a little bubble, and it's working a lot different than what people from outside of the industry would expect it to work like.
Yeah, but that's how Tommy works all the time, and that's Tommy. He's open to everyone, and I think we learn from him. That's how we work, and Tommy is the one who's open to everything. And you couldn't imagine, when I was CEO at Computec, I had to handle all the big guys from the big publishers all the time, and it was really difficult to get an appointment, and they were late and all that stuff. But that we all hate, basically. And how long did it take to fix the schedule, the appointment for today? It was a matter of hours, I would say. But I think that's a big advantage of Intellivision. We're a small company, and Tommy is used to decide, and he's always he can get him always to everything, and we are fast. We are fast, and then we are not afraid to decide something.
I'm also going back to the retro topic. I figured doing the appointments for Gamescom that the game industry as a total got more flexible when it comes to retro releases. I remember when we invited Konami for the interview 5 years ago, they told us we will not talk about retro ever. And this year at Gamescom we were invited at the Contra presentation. So like, oh God, they totally turned like 180 degrees their minds and saying, okay, we are entering the retro IP market now and re-releasing follow-ups of our old NES games or something.
All of a sudden, we're not so crazy, are we?
Yeah. So it's really interesting how this all turned,
Called Probotector in Germany.
Exactly. Yes.
Pro Protector because I don't know. Yeah, but actually, something is very important that Tommy had the idea over 2 years ago, and then it took such a long time to get here. So basically, I think that's the amazing thing about Amico is that Tommy had the idea, and he had to say, "Oh, there is something we can deliver," and then actually, that's I think that's the most important point. And also I would say, Tommy, you with all the guys that. Let me ask you a question, Tom.
Okay.
When you sit here right now, when you have, remember, I think it was in April or May 2018. I think, did you exactly know what was going to happen, or you just, or did you have an exact plan at that time already?
In regards to what, the hardware or the journey?
Basically, where we are having. That we are in Dubai, in Europe, and what kind of games you are?
No, I didn't know the specifics. But I knew what the goal was. I knew what the dream was, and sometimes, it's like climbing a mountain, and along the way, you're not sure which holds you're going to use. You're not sure if a landslide is going to get you, and you're going to have to move around and go around another way. You have no idea how you're going to get to the top. You just know you're going to get to the top no matter what, and you're going to figure out a way to do it. So I think this whole project, whether it's, every little piece of the puzzle, every programmer, every artist, every developer, every person like yourself or Samit in the Middle East, in Dubai, every little element just fits together. Like the timing is perfect, and the person is perfect for the position, and like just every little thing is just, that's how you know it's magic and it's something special. Everything just seems to, the universe just brings it to you, or God, or whatever you believe in, just, brings it for a reason. It's all happening for a reason. And me and you, Hans, we've talked about this before, which is, it just feels like every single part of our entire career and life to this point has been for this moment. Everything we've learned, all the people we've met, all of the things we've done. And again, when you walk in the Intellivision office, it's like walking on cloud nine. It's like everybody in the office feels this magic, feels this thing that, oh my God, we're going to help change the world. We really, really believe that. We're going to use technology to bring people back together, because technology has been splitting people apart and splitting families apart. We're going to use technology to bring families and people and friends back together. And we really do believe that at our core, and that's what we're most excited about.
I have a good example for that for you, Joerg, also. What has happened, especially here in Europe, I always knew that I want to be part of Amico and want to be give input, whatever. But then suddenly there was Moon Patrol, and I was looking for the developer. So I was asking somebody in Munich, and then they came up with Christian Söllner from Wasted Studio, which I didn't actually know Christian before, but he was amazing. And also, a little detail, suddenly I was approached by the city of Nuremberg because they told me, we have a special funding program here for foreign companies that open a subsidiary. You can get the office for half a year for free. It was like, oh my God, I didn't know that, but actually that's how I ended up being in Nuremberg, next to the Opera House, brilliant office for free. And that was not part of our plan, but it just happened. Afterwards, I was doing the submission at FFF in Munich for the funding. Actually, we didn't know if it's going to work, and that was not the original plan. I was sure that we could get some money, but actually we got $500,000 from them, and it was like, oh my God, they believe what we are doing. They really believe that that's something they didn't do before, and it was the highest funding they ever gave. Then probably we also got money from Berlin now for 2 games we are the only company getting funding for 2 games from Berlin, another 200,000 bucks, and then suddenly, and then that's something like, what is going on here? It's one after another, and that's something. When I started,
magic.
It's magic, yes, actually, and also, but that's. I think that's a sign that something special is going on. But in the end, and that's and now you could say, well, you know, we are convincing. I know they did know the people, and they can convince them to get some funding and whatever. But in the end, the most important thing is every time I let somebody play the builds on my or what we have, or at the E3, it's just amazing and entertaining to play Amico games. And that's really the most important part of everything. Everyone is like, okay, I want to play that. I want to have fun. And that's really the most important thing. Probably, of course, I know how to get some funding from here and there. But actually, the actual product we are creating, the games we are working on, that's really the amazing things. And then also the new products coming out in 2021 with brand new ideas. And that's really the magic thing that is happening. So, and that's something I'm pretty sure of. But Tommy, you know it better than me. That's something that can't happen within Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, because these kind of corporations are not, well, they are not made for working that way. Like we do.
Very big.
How long it took to get Tommy's okay? That's like, okay, you know, we can get an office here in Nuremberg. What do you think? Okay, go ahead. I was thinking about the different. I said, here is the office. It's 20 minutes to the airport. It's 500 meters to the central station. That's the office, and it's fine, and that's how it looks. And I think, okay, let's do it. And I can guarantee, or I know, even within Computech, to decide about the new office somewhere, it took us half a year to get to the that's something that was turning me away. You know what happened? It was like, oh my God, I don't want to waste my life with thinking about this. It's like we have to concentrate on. And then sometimes that's really the point here, that we are not wasting time. And then also, when we started in January working on many of the prototypes that we presented at E3, within that time, starting in middle of January until June, what would you get produced within PlayStation or Xbox corporate? I think might be, it's just impossible, and that's, I think, the most important thing here, that we can make decisions, and also we have so many great people working for Intellivision. You know, there, first of all, we have Tommy, then we have Jason Enos.
He just approved something else.
You know, Jason Enos was the one bring Just Dance to the world, to Europe or America, and then you have Mike D. So you have Phil Adam, and there are so many people. So you could probably next time you could invite 20 people, and you have 20 amazing people here. And imagine that if the input from all of these guys within, and also we have a weekly calls, company call and developer call. Nobody needs to prove anything that he's good at something. Everyone has the same target, and everyone can speak out, and nobody wants to be better than the other one.
Everyone, right, no egos. Yeah.
Right. And that's we are not wasting time, and that's really the big advantage we have. That
I have about 10 more minutes, guys, and then I have to jump.
Okay. Well, let's talk real quick about the hardware, because the original Intellivision came out in 1979, and so this is kind of the successor to that original console. And a lot of the things that, there you go, a lot of the things that original console had have been carried over a bit, like the controllers. The original Intellivision had kind of a non-standard controller for the time with the disc that you moved around and stuff. And this is carrying. I've actually got the pictures up on the laptop here. We'll throw them on the screen over this when we publish it. This has similar controllers where it's got the directional disc, and instead of a number pad, it's got an actual LED or a display.
I'm listening.
And so, like, I'm just, curious. Yes, there you go. There it is. Exactly. So I this was obviously a conscious decision to maintain continuity between the consoles. And so how, like, do you find yourselves kind of because the technology has advanced quite a bit since 1979. Yeah, but we are still going with some of the same games, and it's something that Joerg and I have said a lot, where it doesn't. A good game is a good game. It doesn't need to have the best graphics. It doesn't need to have all the shiny things and stuff. So do you find yourselves kind of like how does that process go in developing this brand new system that still holds that same kind of the feel as the older stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to do it that way. I could have easily have just created, the same old standard rip-off joystick like Google Stadia did, right? Oh, let's just make it look like an Xbox or PlayStation controller. Let's have dual analog sticks. Let's have strafing buttons on the top and this and that. But that goes against everything that we have just been talking about.
Right.
I don't care how simple the game is. My dad will never pick up a PlayStation 4 controller, ever. It's too intimidating. There's too many buttons. And what did we learn about the PlayStation 5 controller? There's even more buttons in the back now. Yay, just what we need, And so, and again, for hardcore games, that's fantastic. But and it's a great question, because so many people are very concerned about the controller, saying and because they just can't picture themselves using this controller in the games they play now.
Right.
You look at this and go, how the hell am I going to play Call of Duty on that? You know what the answer is? You're not.
Exactly.
Right? And so when you're talking about, look, the biggest controller in the world for video games right now is your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, it's the phone, right? And so what we did is we said, well, we like the idea of the touch and the screen, but we also like the input of tactile controls and tactile feedback. So, and again, I looked at the original controller and go, my gosh, look at that big space where that could be the screen. Let's move the buttons so that people can hold it like a, they can hold it this way and their shoulder buttons, or this way and they're this and that. So we kept the buttons simple, but this disc, people don't realize until you really play the games how important and amazing this disc is. When you think about it, if you break it down, the original, by the way, the Intellivision was the very first company ever to have a directional pad, because everything else was joysticks or Pong things, right?
Right.
But most D-pads have 8 positions: up, down, left, right, and then the diagonals, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We have 64 different positions on ours, and the harder you press down, so it has pressure points as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an analog and a D-pad combined, right? Because when you think about, take a game like Missile Command or Centipede, when you have the roller balls, try to do that on an analog stick. It's absolute garbage. Can't do it. But you could easily do it on a touch screen. Wherever your finger goes is where the thing goes. And now this becomes a fire button, or these become fire buttons, right? And so, but having this disc is something, when you put this into a non-gamer's hands or a little kid's hands, they understand the touch screen and the information's right there on it, okay? And then this is as simple as it gets. It's not a dual analog stick. Now all of a sudden you just lost half the universe, right? You don't, and so, I want to go down in skiing. I press down. I want to go a little bit to the left. I circle it to the left. I circle it to the right. And now all of a sudden, this is something that's super easy that anyone can understand. Similar to a mouse. You put a mouse in front of somebody and they put their hand on it and they start to move it and they see the thing moving. Oh, I get it. It's instant, right? Mm-hmm. Dual analog sticks are not instant. Have you ever put a dual analog stick and go into like a first-person shooter game for a non-gamer, and they're like looking up in the air or looking down at the ground, or is it flight controls? Do I do the opposite, or why am I swinging around? But I want to go this way, and you need to use the shoulder. It's a nightmare for non-gamers. This is not. And when we do all of our focus testing, we put a PlayStation 4 controller down. We put an Xbox controller down. We put a Switch controllers down. And we put this down. And we say, which one would do you think you would like to play on? And in every case, every single case, those non-gamers immediately pick up the Amico controller every time. So yes, to a hardcore gamer, I totally get it. They look at this and go, what a stupid idea. You guys are idiots. I totally get it because you haven't played a game on it yet. And what people need to understand is, and they'll only understand this by playing the games. So I understand why they're apprehensive. I get it. I'm not saying they're wrong. They're absolutely right because you don't understand it until you realize that we have designed all of the simple, great games around this. Right. Around this. We're not trying to put games that are on dual analog sticks and trying to fit them on this. We're creating very unique experiences that take this to the max, right? And so it's a great question because it's something that people really don't, until you play it, it's hard to comprehend. But yeah, it's a great question. I probably have time for one more question, but AJ, give me because I know you had a lot of questions about the machine, and then maybe Hans can continue. But give me another question.
Yeah, okay? Let's go through the safe, the SAFE, the concept behind the games, because you briefly mentioned it earlier, but. It's kind of like not so much of a detailed explanation, like what are the requirements? Because this is not, again, like you said, you're not going to be playing Call of Duty on this. This is going to be a very specific kind of game that people will be playing.
Well, there'll be a lot of different kinds of games, yeah. Right. And we've actually published, if you go on our Facebook page or Twitter page, you'll see where we've published our 10 Commandments of Game Design, which kind of, is the do's and don'ts of what you can expect. Like there's no 3D open worlds because when you have an open world, now you need dual analog sticks again, right? But let's take a game like Moon Patrol because we've been talking a lot about that one. So how about this? So Moon Patrol is pretty much a single player game, right? Mm-hmm. So we're crafting this amazing single-player experience that'll last for hours and hours and hours to even the most hardcore of gamers, right? And they're going to enjoy this. But the game is built in 3D, so everything is in 3D, but it's what we call 2.5D or 2.5D, meaning the car is traveling... it's like a forced scroll, and it's traveling on the same plane, right? You don't go in and out this way. You're only traveling left and right. So it's on rails in a way, although you can slow down and speed up, and you can jump, and you can shoot and all these things. Right. But that's an example of 2.5D, where it's on a 2D plane, but the world and the vehicle and the effects are all created in 3D, which makes this awesome, right? So you say, okay, you got the single-player game. But, Tommy, that's a single-player game. You always talk about coach co-op and multiplayer. What the hell? And so imagine this now. Imagine in a cooperative mode where maybe you have 3 or 4 people and you're all playing a certain section of this car. So your object is to get through it together as a team. One person is the jump button. Another person is the firing button. Another person is slowing down or speeding up the buggy. And so now you're working together because if you notice in Moon Patrol, when that big rock is coming to you, you have a choice. You can shoot it or you can jump over it, right? Imagine the kind of communication between three friends playing this game. Shoot it. No, I want to jump over it. No, there's a hole after it, you dummy. We got to shoot it and then jump. Wait for me to shoot it. You know, so this is the kind of fun experience that you can see friends playing and create and finishing levels together as a team. But wait, it gets better. What about a versus mode, right? So let's take, again, that same situation, but keep in mind that all these controllers light up. The buttons, the disc, the screen, everything's lit up. So let's say that the four of us were playing Moon Patrol against each other. Well, how would we do that? Well, each one of our controllers is a different color. So mine's red, AJ, you're blue, Hans is green, and you're orange or whatever, yellow or something, right? And so what happens is I'm the first one to go. So I'm red. So the machine lights up red, the Amico machine itself, my controller lights up red, and I see your color, AJ. I see that your controller's green and Hans is blue and yours is yellow. I see what colors you are. And now my goal as the red machine, and now you see the red vehicle, it starts to go, and I'm trying to get as far as I can. But here's the twist. All of the ships that are trying to stop me are you guys. And you're all color-coded. So I see Hans's blue ship, and I know it's Hans because I can look and see, oh, you're the blue guy, son of a gun. And I can see you, AJ, because I know your color's green because your thing's lit up green, and there you are. And you guys are trying to stop me. How far can I get before you guys stop me? Boom, now I die. And I say, son of a gun, that AJ got me, that green ship got me. Now it records how far I went, and now it's AJ's turn. Now the ship's green, the console itself turns green, I see a green ship, and now you're going to see a red alien up in the sky because that's me, and boy, am I going to have it out for you because you're the stop me. Everybody, let's pile on, let's get AJ. Let's see how far you can go. And then it goes again to Hans and goes again to Joerg, and who got the farthest? Right? This kind of round robin versus mode where we're not just sitting around waiting for the other player to play. Oh, okay, you go. Okay, now it's my turn. Now everybody else watch me. This is the amazing thing about Amico. These are the types of games and experiences that you cannot have on mobile, that you cannot have on Switch, that you cannot have on PlayStation, that you cannot have on Xbox, and that you cannot have on PC. This is our point, is that we're creating these games, and because of our controller and because of the way we've set this whole ecosystem up, we're having developers have to think outside the box like they've never thought before. And this is creating a completely new way for people to enjoy games together. And I'm so excited about it.
Wow.
Awesome. And another example with Intellivision skiing, you could give it a try one after another, but you could also try the cross ski mode with 4 players at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's the same
ski cross mode in the Olympics where there's 4 skiers on your mark, get set, go. They drop the gates, and look it up if you've never seen it. It's amazing on YouTube. Just put in ski cross Olympics or championships, and you see these guys flying over mountains and trying to get in front of each other. It's amazing. And so we have that is on the system. And if you get far back and the camera pans out and you get too far back, boom, you're out, So many different ways to think of a game like Frogger. Let's say we wanted to play a 4-person game of Frogger. And again, everybody's controllers are lit up and we're all different color frogs. And we're all trying to get to the end. But here's the thing. There's 4 of us playing, but maybe there's only 3 spots up top. Who's going to get left out? It's like musical chairs. Who's going to get eliminated? Then we do another round, and the next person gets eliminated again. So these are all the kind of the fun things where think about it. when you're focused on coach co-op, when you're focused on family play, and when you have an amazing, unique controller like this that nobody else has or thinks about, now the whole universe for game design opens up into delivering new experiences that no one ever experienced before, and that's really exciting.
And we can show you probably in 2 or 3 months' time. We could have another call, and then we can show you some of the things that Tommy has been talking about.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Cool, guys. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on.
Well, thanks for taking the time, Tommy.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. As soon as it's out, let us know. We'll blast it all over the universe.
Sure.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Certainly.
Cool.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow,
Bye-bye.
Tommy.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you are very enthusiastic, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works here. It's really it's amazing. It's really if somebody would have told me 1 year ago what it's going to happen, I wouldn't have believed that, because it's there are so many things happening, and but it's really great, and then more and more people find out that we are doing something special, and we still have a long way to go, but it's something amazing. You know, we have to work with people like Tommy and David Perry and Chase Ninos and Phil Evan and Mike Dietz. It's really unbelievable because it's you couldn't plan it, you know. But Tommy is somebody. He always, if you take a look at his life, he always has crazy ideas with Video Games Live and doing an album with video games music, and then doing a TV show about the games, Electric Playground and all that stuff. But if once Tommy has an vision what he wants to achieve or target, and he's moving, and then he's moving, and then a lot of people actually follow him, and then it's something's magic is going on, and it's but it's great. It's really an amazing story. So but still we have to work very hard every day to get this done, and then and if somebody told us, oh well, you know, 2020 is going to be the release date of our console, it was always like far away, very far away, but now we have already January, and then it's like, okay, then it's not so far away anymore. And I was just yesterday somebody has as a counter, it was something like 270 days, and it was like, oh my god, only 270 days. It's like, okay, but it's great.
I have one question, because you mentioned it's not so far away, but on the other hand, it is still far away. And I wonder, because some weeks ago you actually announced on LinkedIn that you're hiring and you are searching for new people, for new talents.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can that fit? If the console is not out yet and you're already hiring people?
Oh, well, that's very, very easy. We have to work on the games. And we have around 20 games being developed here in Europe right now. And once they are finished, we have a constant exchange with the colleagues in Irvine. And also Tommy would like to do everything on his own, like I would do. Actually, there are many things we have to take care about now, about the distribution and marketing and public relations. So there are new things that we have to do. And so if you ask Tommy and me to talk with the developers every day and just work on the games, play the games, make them better, that would be a dream job. But actually, we have some other things to do and to set up. And so we need some people. For example, what I've just started was the localization process for all over the world for all Intellivision titles. So we're gonna have it probably in 8 languages, and that has to be done by somebody. And somebody has to work with the agency, send it to the developers, test it, and all that stuff. And that there are many things you can imagine with around 40 games. There are a lot of things to do. So you need some people that actually are doing that. And also in Irvine, we have already more than 20 people working there, working on the firmware, on the control, and all that stuff. And it's the same here. I need these people really to play test the game every day. It's like that. We get the build from the developers here in Bavaria, for example, or Germany. Then we're testing it. We're sending the build to the colleagues in California. They are testing it. We get feedback from them. Then we have to make sure that they really do everything on the list. Then we have these conferences, and while we're talking about that, we have to set up the distribution and the marketing and PR channels, and that's really so. There are more jobs that have to be done, and that's the point. So, and actually, there are. I'm not trying, or basically, we're at Intellivision, we are not trying to set up huge companies with thousands of people, because actually it's not necessary in our times anymore, because as you can see, we can talk with anyone at any time, and that's, you don't need, I don't need, actually right now, around 150 people are working on the games that are being developed in Germany. I don't need an office with 200 people. They can do it in their own office. We can have a Skype call every day, talk about the things, so it's not necessary anymore. And also, I don't need 20 people to do all the other stuff. I need some external agencies doing the marketing or distribution and that stuff. And of course, we need some people within the company that is being responsible for that. But it's, but there are still, we are a small company, and that's also the big advantage, I would say, that because we are very easy on discussing and deciding. And then, as I explained, we are concentrating on the really important things. And then, for example, today, just this afternoon, we had a long call regarding Pong, which will really be amazing. There are a lot of features that you wouldn't expect from that Pong game. Of course, it's also multiplayer, but it's not only 2, but also 4-player. And then so we are going through a list with 30 points of what has to be done and has to be changed. And that's something that really Tommy personally is going through. He said, well, we have to do it that way. And then sometimes we have to discuss, well, what is the best way? What do you think? And but Tommy is the CEO worldwide and president worldwide. And then you can imagine how many people want to know something from him. Also the investors and all that stuff. So that's so we need more people, but we are growing slowly. And then what we have already 300 people working for us, working on all that games, and that's the most important part, I would also say. So that's how things are developing. And then when we would have done this interview by the beginning of January, it would have been like, okay, though we have 15 people working for Intellivision, and that was it. And now we are having about 30 people working for Intellivision on that every day as an employee, and then we have 300 developers working on the games. And you can be sure that there will be a lot more working on distribution, marketing, consultants. You've seen the press releases we did. So that's the launch is coming. So more and more people will be working for Intellivision.
So where can people write to you if they say after this interview, like, yeah, I would like to work with those guys?
Oh, always send a mail. It's very easy. Tommy at intellivisionentertainment.com, or for me it's Hans at intellivisionentertainment.com. Intellivisionentertainment.com, one word, and then you can be sure that we will. So if you're interested in working here in Europe or Germany, then contact me first. If you're interested in working in California, whatever, if the email is arriving at Tommy or my email inbox, then everything is fine.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we'll put links to all that in the podcast description below, someplace down there.
Oh yeah. So right now with the first hiring we do, we are 2 product managers, but as you can imagine, this will not be the end. So,
yeah. Good.
If
awesome.
somebody, it's very simple. If somebody thinks that he could help us making Amico successful, then just let us know. You know, the job I'm doing here right now as the president of the European Corporation, it was not like that Tommy had I would say, the description. That's your job. Basically, we've built our jobs. So, and if somebody thinks, oh, I know something, how I can be of help for you and make it successful, well, let us know. Because we're not a regular company, and Tommy is somebody who would like, okay, great. And yeah, thankful for everyone.
Wonderful.
That was very cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
So let's make it that way. By March or April, we should set up a second, and then next call probably, and then we can show you a lot more, and then show you more footage and give you more details. Because by that time, the actual production of the hardware should have been started already. You know, it takes a few months' time to get all the units produced, but by that time we should have the final controller, all the final games probably, and and then also we have a lot more to tell, and but to keep folks like you interested, we have to spread our news from now until October.
Yeah,
guys like us, you can keep interested just by existing, because we saw this. We saw this when it first came out, and I remember saying to Joerg, "I'm like, Intellivision, like Intellivision." Well, you know, like, because there had been at this point, you know, the Atari flashback, and they were working on the 64 Mini, and all these little console like reproductions coming out, and it was suddenly like blah blah, like Intellivision, and I'm like, Intellivision. I'm like, Intellivision, them too. And but then we looked at it, and it's like, oh wait, this isn't actually like, it's not, because we originally thought this is going to be kind of like a little like knockoff thingy. And then, you know, as it came out, there was more information about it, where it was actually going to be a full-blown system all of its own, you know, and then it was going to run the old games, was also going to have new stuff, and it's got a guideline. So every time anything has come out about it, we've been like you know, we do a little news section at the beginning of the podcast, and every time that we've done this, I feel like every other podcast we're like, oh, also Intellivision is here, and this is now something new that happened. You know, so it's keeping people that are actually in the gaming kind of scene interested is just, you know, slapping Intellivision on it, and we're like, hey, you know. But
and there are many more stories and news on the way. And as you can imagine, you have seen Tommy, because Tommy is unbelievable. He's so creative. He has ideas all the time, so we will never run out of our ideas and how to promote things. He's a really I would say he's really a genius. I have met a lot of people, really brilliant people, but he's to work with him, it's really it's difficult to catch up with him, because he's really working all the time, and he's very fast. And then I experienced that from some people. It's like, oh my God, it's too fast. So, but he's really genius, and then that's he's driving all of the process, and then it's with that passion. What I said, we will, you know, that the games that we have shown in the trailer right now, but look forward to the games that you don't know yet, because if you just tell, because what we did, we said to developers, take a look at the system and what you could do, and come up with some ideas, because these are actual ideas that you could not do on any other machine. And that's really the point. And it's not about high-tech gaming, you know, it's not about ray tracing and real time and all that stuff. No, it's about having fun. And how could you, you know, very simple, if you have the controller here, and just think about 8 players, every player has an individual screen where you can have individual messages, and then you have the big screen, and you can have a gyroscope and motion control, and think about something. You can use a microphone, you can probably sing, whatever. So it's something really amazing. And then you have products that you have not seen before, and probably you have products you wouldn't call them a classic video game, but it's entertainment, it's fun. So probably let's continue that before Easter, and Then we'll have a lot of new things to talk about.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Oh my
very much.
God.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and speak to you soon, AJ. Jörg.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So that was Tommy Tallarico and Hans Ippisch from Intellivision. You should go to their website, which is what you should be seeing on your screen right now if you're watching the video version of this, which you should be. The website is www.intellivisionamico.com, and that's all one word. Links are in the description below. You can also go to their Facebook page at facebook.com/Intellivision and their Twitter at twitter.com/Intellivision. Again, all of that is linked in the podcast description. You know where to find us, podcast@sceneworld.org, or any of our pages that are linked below. Until next time, see ya.